Miles. How's it going, my man?
Hey, what's up, AC? Glad we're back here for another week talking RMAC football. And man, all is well in the world. How about yourself?
Hey, man, I'm still kicking here. I'm still kicking. So I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk some football. You got anything cool going on outside of football in life? What's going on in the world of Miles Dunk?
Oh man, just we got 1 month of being married in the books. So far, so good. So that's good. And just in the middle of the grind of the football season here. Personally, I'm very sad about daylight savings time. As I've alluded to the last couple of weeks, I love to camp. I love to be outside. So kind of RIP to my camping season here coming up. But the best time of the year is around the corner. Ski season coming up. And hey, next month, I'm going to be out for a week because I'm taking a trip to Guatemala. So I'm ready to go climb a big volcano down there. So, I'm always scheming about what I'm up to next, Stacey. We got to get on top of a mountain together, my friend.
I've summited a couple 14ers actually. I got above tree line on Elbert, but we got caught in a storm. But I have summited massive before.
Okay, I haven't done that one, so that's cool. Also, by the way, I said this before the show off air, but I always want to have something, to kind of develop our personalities a little bit, non-football. And I noticed you were wearing a T-shirt there. That's Boba Fett?
Boba Fett,
the one and
Mandalorian. Well, he's a clone technically, but he's a Mandalorian. He's a real Mandalorian in my mind.
A Mandalorian is like a plural thing. There's not just one of them.
No, it's like a race of people. It's like an amalgamation of people, almost like they're not like one color. I shouldn't say a race, but they're like a people that have a planet, and they have a culture. I'll say this: being a Mandalorian, it's a culture. There's a creed.
Is he kind of like being a defensive back? It's us against the world. We're out to headhunt and go get the other guys.
That's not a bad comparison. They're very aggressive. They like conflict and encountering people. So yeah, I'd say Mandalorians and DBs got a lot in common.
Like a safety, maybe not like yourself. Didn't want to stick your nose in there too much.
Hey, I did. I
didn't actually
my shoulder up a couple of times.
Unfounded. Maybe one day you'll sit me down. We'll watch a Marvel movie. I've never seen one before, or one of those superhero things. To me, it either has to have happened or could have happened for me to want to watch a movie about it. Maybe one day you'll show me one of those. I'll get you out on a backpacking trip.
Why can't that happen? Why couldn't one of these fantastical things happen one day?
So, I can suspend belief every now and then. I guess I'm just too much of a cynic to say I believe that this man has these superpowers, or this person can travel back in time, or I just need it to be a little bit more plausible for me personally. That's like I'm a Batman guy, but I couldn't bridge the gap to like Superman. Batman could happen in theory, right?
Well, hey, if you're a Batman guy, the new show The Penguin just dropped, and I'm gonna give HBO a little bit of plug right here. It is like The Sopranos on testosterone.
Okay. And actually, my wife last night mentioned that we should watch The Penguin and The Sopranos. Chef Kiss, one of the greatest shows of all time.
They are.
We won't give you any spoilers here about The Sopranos. We will give you some spoilers on last week's action in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. And it is good that we're going to have conference play here the rest of the way. So not going to have to dig too much into these other leagues until we get to the playoffs. So let's get it going here with some RMAC football talk.
Yeah, well, we're going to start it off with my alma mater. You see the helmet back there. They came down to Pueblo, Southern Colorado, to take on the Thunderwolves. And I got to say, the Thunderwolves kind of imposed their will in this one. Howard Russell in the running game really got it going this week. I got to give Mesa a little bit of credit. They kind of limited Pueblo's explosive passing offense, but defensively, Pueblo got all over the quarterback, and there's Daniel Bone there. They dominated this game. There's not too much to say about it. I think it was a pretty dominant effort on the Thunderbolts' part. What are some of your takeaways watching some of this video we got here?
Yeah, look, I think if you're CSU Pueblo or a CSU Pueblo fan, it's nice to know that you're not, you're built to win more than just one type of way.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Devin Larson there, the stat line is not flashy. 19 out of 30, 149 yards. We don't even have Reggie Retzlaff on the list because what did he have? 2 catches for 10 yards, something like that in the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. As a football team, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're part of a football team, it doesn't matter. If you win the game 38-14, most of the time everybody's happy. And that's a quality win. So really nice for them. This is something we asked for last week. Can we get the running game going? They didn't get that going against Grand Valley State. It's really nice to see them come out and dominate a team physically, maybe instead of with finesse deep down the field. And so that would be a very positive sign to me if I'm a Thunderwolf fan that, hey, this team has more than just one way to win over the course of you want to win a lot of football games. You're going to need to win in more than one style. So I think that's definitely a big positive takeaway here for Pueblo.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You're gonna have to be multifaceted. You're gonna have to be able to win ball games in different kind of ways if you want to, win this conference and go on to have a playoff run. You got to be multifaceted. I want to give them a shout out for, as I'm talking about being multifaceted and different ways to win. What they did on special teams. They blocked a punt, returned that for a touchdown.
Yep.
They had a 4th down conversion, a fake punt. Like their special teams just really had it going. I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was a safety. They also had. I was taking pictures. I got some pictures of it, but nonetheless, my point being, their special teams had it going, and I'm a ride for the brand kind of guy. So big shout out to them. I want to say it was Mateus Bug that scooped up that blocked punt early in the game and returned it for a score. So big shout out to them. Big shout out to Coach Mack. I see what you're doing with special teams. Keep that up. That's big time stuff. But we're going to move it along. We got some more video. We got the 77th Colorado Classic. We got Adams. They went up to Gunnison and Ricky Freeman. He got things started. This game, they kind of were going through a monsoon. You see a lot of people don't have gloves on and whatnot. So there wasn't too much passing going on. Just rough, tough pound game. You see the trash talk here with Luke Hill and the defender there. But Western, they just kind of imposed their will in this game and cruised to victory.
Yeah, I think once again, this is a confirmation here that Western Pueblo. We'll talk about Colorado School of Mines here in a minute. They haven't really shown exactly what they can be. Certainly, I think they did against West Texas A&M. But this is another confirmation that Western Colorado is who we think they are. This is what you should do to a team who is rebuilding right now. You should beat them 38-0, and they did. So it's a confirmation that they're a really, really good football team. I'll tell you this as well. This is a defender. I don't care what the conditions are. I don't care who the opponent is. Anytime you can get a 0 on the board, that's a really big deal. Nice to see, by the way, for the Mountaineers that they get their running game going as well. Like I said, those are the 2 critiques we had of the top teams in the league last week was, hey, it's great to see you win. Can you beat teams with your traditional running game over the course of the season? You need your traditional running game to be able to get you first downs, keep you on schedule, all that stuff. We can't have Drew Nash running for 70-yard touchdowns every single week. And so to thoroughly beat an opponent like this, I think confirms what we think about the Mountaineers, that they're going to be a dominant team that's going to beat inferior opponents like the way they beat Adams State.
Absolutely. I'm not too surprised by this outcome. I expected Western to win and to win handily. I wish the rain wouldn't have played such a factor in the game. I wish that we could have got to see them, throw it around a little bit. Maybe Adams could have mustered a little bit more offense if they could have really thrown it around a little bit. But nonetheless, just another step for Western on the path that they're trying to take to become conference champions. Yeah. So a good win for them. Shout out to Logan White. If I'm not mistaken, that might be his very first career interception for the Mountaineers. We saw that there at the end of the highlights. It just runs in the family. His twin sister is an all-conference basketball player for UCCS. So big time shout out to the Whites coming out of Utah.
Yeah, and let's give credit to the Mountaineers. They ran it not just effectively, but they ran it too shy of 50 in the game. They ran it 48 times. The same thing with Pueblo. I didn't have a chance to get to that, but they ran it 41 times. So showing that commitment to the running game, like what you see here out of Western, but not terribly surprised by this result.
Awesome. Well, moving on, we're going to take a look at the games that took place in South Dakota. Beautiful weather out there. We got Black Hills taking on Fort Lewis. We got Luke Doobie doing his thing. You'll notice no number 8 out there for Black Hills. Sadly, TJ Chukwara will be out for the rest of the season.
That's a huge loss for them. I spoke to Coach Bresky this morning. He made no bones about it. He said, TJ is our best player, was our best player on offense, and so that's a huge loss. It's going to be by committee for them in the passing game. Those were his words. Certainly, they had enough to beat Fort Lewis here. We said this last week. This was a bad matchup for Fort Lewis against a team that isn't going to give you anything on defense. The Yellow Jackets are smart. That might be their number one characteristic, right? They communicate. They're smart. Do they have any next level athletes on that defense? I don't know about that. Maybe in the front 7 they do, but they were going to make Fort Lewis earn every single point here, and they frustrated. Certainly looked like they kept Stone Walker in check, and then I think nice to see those ancillary targets come into play and kind of pick up the pieces where TJ left off. But like I said, that's a huge, huge loss for their passing game. Once again, I don't have to tell you as a defensive back, the guy that strikes the most fear is the guy that can beat you over the top. And that's the dynamic changer within an offense, right? There's lots of guys that can catch the ball underneath and pick up first downs. There's not a lot of guys that can stretch the defense and hurt teams for 70, 80-yard touchdowns and really change things there. So that's a big loss. But Luke Doobie continuing to come along. He's a guy that hasn't played a lot of college football. He is experienced and that he's been around the game for a long time, but no starts at Cornell. This is his 3rd career start. So for Luke Doobie continuing to come along and play well. Yeah, you got any thoughts on this one here?
Hey, they came in as like the heavy favorite in this one. We're not going to make any bones about it. So I think they handled business. Luke Doobie didn't have the most prolific day through the air, but I don't see any turnovers there, and that always makes me happy when the quarterback's not giving the ball to the other team. You see the concerted effort though to get their ground game going. 12 carries for Navarre Dixon and 13 for Cameron Goods. They both got in the end zone. Maybe you want to see more yardage, especially after seeing some of the yardage totals Fort Lewis has given up over the course of the season. But I like seeing that they're committed to it. They're gonna need it in this upcoming week. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm thinking with what we've seen so far, their best bet this week is ground and pound and play really good defense. So got to stay committed to that effort, and I think they did that.
By the way, before we move on here, Jacob Penny. Is there anybody more productive in the league than Jacob Penny?
Man, he is all over the place, dude. He's only a sophomore. He's a sophomore. Just wait as he keeps growing and it slows down for him more. But he's a hell of a player, dude. And then Walter Stauffer coming up with that. We saw on video. He got that fumble recovery. I don't want to get the name wrong. 42 for Fort Lewis. Can you look that name up? He's the guy that caused that fumble on that strip sack.
I'll get you that in just a moment here.
39
tackles in 3 games. He followed up a 17 tackle effort with a 13 tackle effort.
I'm going to throw it back to see if any of our longtime RMAC fans.
Stonebreaker.
Oh yeah,
Stonebreaker.
Great play on him off the edge, peeling off that block and causing a strip sack. But on Penny, he's reminding me of when I first got to Mesa. They had a linebacker named Jacob Edmiston. We called him Frosty on the team. He's Frosty to us. But tackling machine, like I want to say his senior year, he had 133 tackles.
And I think, by the way, for Fort Lewis, this is we were able to kind of call this one here that this was a bad matchup for them against a really well coached, really well put together defense. Better days ahead for them, hopefully. We do love the Skyhawks on this show. We're not rooting for any RMAC team over any other RMAC team, maybe other than Mines and Mesa. Yeah, I mean the Skyhawks. This is a tough matchup for them. So if you're a fan and you're looking for continued progress, I think this was a tough week for them and should be some better, more competitive games coming up. Black Hill State is going to take care of business against teams that they're better than. That's just kind of the nature and the way they're coached there by Josh Bresky.
Gotta give a little love to the Skyhawks too. Like as you look at this box score 0-0-0, they scored in the fourth quarter. They didn't quit. You know what I mean? They kept playing till the whistle, till the game ended. And my young guy Orlando Guevara from Denver South, DPS product. I mentioned him before the season as one of their guys that they had picked up in that recruiting cycle. Great to see him already starting to make some plays for the Skyhawks. But we're going to move it along, and we're going to go from Spearfish over to Rapid City, where Highlands was taking on SD Mines. We got Isaac Engel here for SD Mines, the Highlands Ranch kid making a play. My guy Orlando Westbrook Sanchez. I was talking about him last week about when he gets his opportunities, he's productive in. Hey, I got some video for you to show it to you right there. Henry Dryden gets back in the fold. We got the nice little shovel pass there. SD Mines, they handled things in this one, but Highlands, similar to Fort Lewis, they showed fight. This is a freshman running back here. Look at this run. Look at the balance on that. He's a pretty big kid too. Got a little bit of weight on him. Their freshman quarterback, Wyka Crawford, he did his thing too, showing off a little bit of dual threat ability. Look at that. Getting freaky out there, getting in for the score. So this game wraps up with Highlands. They lose 19-40 to SD Mines. They're still haven't got a win, but I think they were competitive, at least in the first half in this one. And I think I don't think they should be too discouraged. SD Mines is a pretty good team. SD Mines, they could be 3-1 right now. They lost a game in 4 overtimes. So I think SD Mines
big, yeah.
Rounding into form as we get into conference play. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this game's similar to the Fort Lewis Black Hill State game, that you're looking at a team that might be on the come up here in New Mexico Highlands against a team that has it together enough to where they're going to take care of this type of opponent. So good to see Martinelli and company get rolling again. Orlando Westbrook Sanchez does not look like he's a lot of fun to tackle. He's giving me some Maurice Jones-Drew type of vibes with that build. Mm-hmm. He's got that fire hydrant type of build there in the backfield. So love to see that. Absolutely. That was a lot of fun to watch. And Hunter Newsom and company keep getting it done. Yeah, this is a team that's opportunistic on defense, good enough. Can their offense take that next step and be consistent enough to beat the top teams in the league? That's going to be the question for me. But Antonio, I feel like SD Mines and Black Hill State, they're in that tier right now where they're gonna do this to the lower teams in the league, and then we'll see what they can do against the top teams in the league. But not surprised to see once again this type of result. Second half shutout for the Hard Rockers at home.
Oh yeah, and we won't spoil it now, but when we talk about kind of league hierarchy, I got some hot takes on where
we'll get there. We'll get there. Right.
That's why we
get paid the big bucks here on the RMAC Weekly Podcast. Yeah.
Moving it along, we got Mines escaping.
I'd say so.
Nebraska with a 1-point victory in a very, very tight ball game. Kind of tell us what happened. How do we come to the number 4 team only winning by 1 point to a team that we expected them? What was the spread last week on this game?
It was large. It was in the 30s.
How did Chadron keep this one so close, Miles?
Well, let's give a lot of credit to Chadron. I thought Wyatt Sprague played pretty well. He kept his team in the game. He didn't make huge mistakes. I will say that interception at the end of the game, I don't know if that was on him or a wide receiver, but that was a miscommunication. I mean, that was a missed assignment, whatever you want to call it, for the Eagles, where they kind of get the Devin Lauer and Mines a one on that final play. But I thought Sprague played fine. You see their running game did not get going. Mines was able to shut that down. But when you look at the Ore Diggers here, This is the lowest point total they've scored in, I believe, 8 years. They also won that game, by the way. But that was against Adams State, like I said, about 8 years ago. But I think a big key here, a big factor, they're out 7 starters in this game due to injury. Okay, so that's a big key. They have been hit pretty badly by the injury bug, and it might not be the top guys that you're noticing, but it's really important players. Okay, like their right guard, Cole Johnson, is a guy that was one of those 5 offensive linemen that had experience. He's out for the season. They were missing Hayden Gregg in this game, all-conference middle linebacker. They're missing Jackson Zimmerman in this game, all-American corner. So these are not replaceable players, right? These aren't just run-of-the-mill type of players. And then I think the biggest factor is that you didn't have Braylon, or rather you didn't have Landon Walker and Max McLeod on the field together at the same time at all during the game. So that's not even, those guys aren't even counted in the 7 starters that they were missing. Now, that all might sound like excuses for Colorado School of Mines, and it is. Okay. Should they have still won this game more handily than they did? Yeah, very much so. Okay. And I got to sit down with Pete Sturbick in person at 11 a.m. this morning. And, the words they used, okay, were embarrassed, frustrated. Okay. They were not happy just escaping with the victory. Okay. And I don't get the feeling that that was a joyous bus ride back from Nebraska. So certainly some soul searching to do for Mines. They don't want to. They know they need to play a lot cleaner if they're gonna have the kind of success they're gonna have this year. But certainly, I think that maybe the biggest takeaway is just how important, just how good of players Landon Walker and Max McLeod are for this football team. And I mean, I don't know. You can flip a coin, okay, as to which one's more important. I might take Max McLeod in that regard. Max McLeod is a difference maker. He is an incredible athlete when he gets out there. So they've got to get their guys on the field together, because Evan Foster has played 1 game with his top players around him now as a Mines Ordigger. But, I think the frustration and the, whatever you want to call it, the frustration that they have coming out of these games, they're going to take it out on an opponent at some point here and put it all together. Now, will that be consistent? Will they be able to do that at Pueblo here in a couple of weeks? We'll have that conversation in a few minutes. But yeah, that's kind of the tale of how this one went down, and looking forward to seeing them getting some of their pieces back and putting it together against Black Hills State on Saturday.
Do you think, obviously we're coming just off the heels of the Matoka era. Is this team just taking a little bit of time to find its identity and become the team that they are? Not the Mines that's 2-time national runner-up, but the 2024 Colorado School of Mines football team. Do you think they're just, it takes time? This is a whole new team than last year. There's some players that are returning, but there's a whole lot of players that played a lot of football that left in the offseason. Do you think this is just kind of part of that process?
I think 100%, right? And it's not just John Matoka. That would be a complete disservice here to Evan Foster to pretend that Evan Foster came in and is playing with the exact same team that John Matoka played with last year. Noah Roper was a stud, okay? I felt like Noah Roper could have been a professional running back. And there's not a lot of guys in that category, but Noah Roper had those skills. You look at some of the guys they lost, Levi Johnson on the offensive line, a consensus All-American, okay? So even if John Matoka's still there, ask yourself, would everything be running completely smooth if he didn't have Max McLeod for a full game, if he didn't have Landon Walker, if he didn't have half of his offensive line, if they're still putting the pieces together around them? So, yeah, I would expect that this team's going to get better as the season goes along. It would have been an aberration, AC, if this team had come out and blown out their first 3 opponents like nothing had ever changed and they had no changes and all the players were the same. So, yes, I do feel like this team is coming together. Is there an eyebrow raised perhaps by the rest of the league? Sure. Okay. Is there a slight amount of concern, a question about whether or not this team is the same, sure. But are we ready to write them off as not a top 5 team, as not a dominant team in this league? No, I don't think I'm ready to write them off at all. I think they do need the time to get together, to play as a team here. And that will just take some time. Go back to 2 years ago. They were 0-2, right? So teams, every team, even teams with John Matoka and 6-year seniors, need time to improve throughout the season to become a complete, fully formed product.
On the Chadron end for the Eagles, you got to be really happy with the freshman quarterback Wyatt, just having the stones to play in a game of that magnitude, playing the number 4 team in the country early in the game, driving down the field, making some big plays, throwing a touchdown pass. I want to give him a lot of credit. And then that defense, Hunter O'Connor had a vintage Hunter O'Connor game where he just comes out and he started off. I saw the drive. He got the 2 sacks. They were I want to say damn near back to back. They were all early in the game. He kind of set the tone, punched mines in the mouth, and then made it a backyard fight that, Chadron, they come out losing by 1, and I know they're probably really hurt. They had missed a field goal. Wilson Yee missed a field goal, like a 29-yarder. He doinked it, and then he hit a deeper one later in the game. So I know that one really hurts, but I think they got to be really excited about just competing with a team of Mines caliber. You didn't get the win, but you got a lot to build on, and I think they should be really excited about the rest of the season moving forward.
I agree. We talked about them in our season preview as a team that could steal one from somebody, opportunistic defense, dominant players on the defensive line. Those are always the kind of teams that can sneak up on somebody or make a game like this close. So we talked about them as one of those teams on the rise, maybe from that middle tier approaching the top tier. And this was you don't want to say it's a good result when you lose a game, but when you hold Colorado School of Mines at 13 points, to me, that's a pretty good result.
You did something right if you lose the game and you still get the player of the week. Dax Girardi, the safety for Chadron, got the defensive player of the week, even in the loss. So, that's big time. I think that defense is really getting it humming now as the season goes along, and I think they're going to be dangerous for anybody playing them, especially as the quarterback continues to mature and progress as the season goes on. But speaking of the season going on, we're going to look at the schedule for next week. We got 5 more games. You take a look at this. I should have. I didn't blow it up as much.
We're really having to test our eyesight on this. It's okay.
Hey man, we got other
going full screen. It got just a tidbit larger. I don't have the spreads in front of me this week.
We got Western going to Highlands, Pueblo going to Adams.
So I think we know a likely result in those 2 games. Yeah. So you got the Cowboys and the Grizzlies. I know that, right?
Absolutely.
No, I think those will be tough matchups here for Adams State, New Mexico, Highlands. We've talked about that already, and Western and Pueblo are poised to take care of business in that one. Let's get your take here on Black Hills State, Colorado School of Mines.
Here, let's just let's tee it up the right way.
Didn't mean to skip past your first 2, but we don't need to spend too much time there.
No worries. So the way I'm looking at this game coming into it, like we got the stats here, but I'm throwing out the stats just thinking about what I've watched so far. This is gonna be a tough game for the Ore Diggers. What Black Hills presents, what their defense presents, some stout guys up front that can stop the run, are very stout. You see that 64 yards a game there.
Really good defensive line, yep.
I think they have the opportunity to present Mines with some serious problems. Where I still think Mines holds the advantage, though, is I think Mines defensively is going to do that probably times 2 to Black Hills. I don't think Black Hills has struggled to get the run going. Mines isn't a team. They're only giving up 109 a game, so they're not giving up very many run yards either. I think it's going to be similar to how the first half was last year, where Black Hills may come out and punch Mines in the mouth. I wouldn't be surprised if I seen that happen. And yeah, I think Mines is going to pull it out. They're at home. It's homecoming. I think Evan Foster has shown that he's poised. He can stand in the pocket. He can fire. This isn't too big for him. He hasn't, had any insane games statistically, but if you've watched him play, he's playing competent quarterback back there. So I think Mines will get it done. Here's something that may tip the scale for me. Is Landon Walker going to play in this game?
I believe so. But that's an important one. Like I said, those two players, McLeod and Walker, they're probably more reliant on those two guys than they would like to be. Those are really, really important players for them. They might be the two best offensive players in the conference. Okay, so we're not talking about they're relying on guys that aren't any good. Those, you called Landon Walker a supercharged Cam Mayberry. I think he's a combination of Mayberry and Zeman. He's a fantastic player. So I'm with you. Yeah, does he play? That's worth maybe 10, 14 points, something like that. He's a difference maker.
It just might be. So I think that's interesting. I'm expecting a close ball game. I'm hoping to make it down. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it down or not yet, but I'm really hoping to make it down because I think this is going to be a really good game. I wish we had the spreads, but I'm going to pick Mines to win close.
Now, they had it large. It was in the 30-point range. I don't think I wouldn't take the Yellow Jackets to lose by that large. I do understand that at some point here, the Mines coming out party is going to happen. Evan Foster's going to have the big day. He has 2 touchdown passes through 3 games. There's no way that's going to continue. The quarterback play that they've generated over the last 7 or 8 years has been at such a high level. The receivers they have, it's coming, right? I think it's coming at some point. Is Black Hills State the team that's going to yield that? I don't know about that. They were a really, really good, solid defensive team. So I could see this one maybe going the way the West Texas A&M game went, where you win by, a couple touchdowns. It's a comfortable victory, but is it going to be easy? Not by any stretch here against Black Hills State. By the way, I did want to bring this up. Coach Bresky, by the way, who I think has a lot of respect around the league. Everybody's looking at what they're doing up in Black Hills State, saying, hey, he has consistently built this program over the course of the last 4 years. They've kept a lot of kids at the program. They play the right way. They're well coached, all those type of things. But he showed a video of Matt Ramos of Purdue upsetting Iowa's Spencer Lee, which was, I believe, he had won 55 straight wrestling matches. So they are not staying away from the narrative of, hey, we are the underdog in this game and trying to rally the troops. And he talked about walking that line between the respect and too much respect for your opponent, but they're definitely coming in. His quote to me, I wrote it down in particular. He said, a lot of people might feel like Colorado School of Mines isn't who they have been based on their last 2 games. The quote was, I am not falling for it. So they're coming in with a lot of respect for the Ore Diggers. I think they'll play a really competent football game like Luke Doobie and the way he operates things. But I think the Ore Diggers, especially if they have Landon Walker and even without him, should be able to come away with a dub here.
I think the defense will probably carry the day because I do think Black Hills defense is going to come to play. Seeing the success that Chadron had, I do think Black Hills could have success. They don't have guys necessarily maybe as prestigious as a Tanner True and a Hunter O'Connor, but they got some hogs up front.
No doubt. They're just really super, super solid across the board. But I think the point that you make, and we'll move on here from the Ore Diggers here in just a second, but people forget just how good the Mines defense is. Adrian Moreno is one of the best linebackers in the country. Jackson Zimmerman's one of the best defensive backs in the country. They have so much pedigree on their defensive line that hasn't really gotten going yet. But yeah, this defense is also probably going to be maybe the main propelling factor here in the next couple of weeks while their offense gets going.
Heck yeah. Well, what I think will probably be the next most competitive game, maybe not the 2 highest rated teams in the conference, but I think this is teed up to be a really, really good game to see this battle of 2 pretty good defenses in my estimation and 2 offenses that are trying to find their footing and really get things going and flowing this year. It's going to be I can see this being a 10-7 ball game. First team to score a touchdown may win this one. It is happening in Grand Junction. Mesa will have it down at Stoker, so I'm gonna go with the Mavs to pull it off close. But like I said, I could see this being a 10-7 ball game. I could see this being a 3-0 ball game.
I'll take the Mavs. I'll take the Mavs as well. I will say, if you're Chadron State, the recipe is Jake Marshall. It's running the football. It's keeping it away from Mesa. And when you look at the stat sheet there, they've been able to run the ball effectively. Mesa has not been able to stop the run effectively. I think what Mesa does, you can tell me better than I can, but what they do very well is stop the pass. I don't think Chadron State is coming out saying that they're the 99 Rams or anything like that. They're kind of more of a no-nonsense football team. So maybe one of the strengths of that Mesa team negated a little bit in that Chadron didn't want to throw it around that much anyway. But I will take Mesa here at home.
Awesome. Moving along. Got SD Mines heading all the way out to Durango from Rapid City. It's going to be, I don't know, I can't imagine it, probably like 13, 14-hour bus ride. Long bus ride to take on the Skyhawks. The Skyhawks returning home. Seeing and knowing how good SD Mines front seven is, I think they're probably going to get after. I didn't see Stone Walker finish the game. I want to say it was Jacob Morris that finished the game. So whether it is Stone Walker or Jacob Morris, I think they're going to get after him and make his day a living hell. But I do think if Stone Walker is playing in the game, it opens up the opportunity for Fort Lewis to, do some exciting things on offense. He can escape a little bit, and SD Mines has shown that they can be had on the back end. So with his ability to extend, I think Stone Walker can make it exciting, but I don't think Fort Lewis is ready. I don't think they're ready up front to beat a team of SD Mines caliber just yet.
We said the same thing about their matchup with Black Hill State, but yeah, they're just not composed at this point to be able to beat this type of team. I'd love for Fort Lewis to play a team that is maybe flashier, maybe a little more sizzle than steak. But that's not the case with South Dakota Mines or Black Hill State. They are way more steak than sizzle. So, and if you're Fort Lewis, yeah, they're still too young, still too inexperienced. Look at that rush defense at 250 yards a game. They don't have the downfield passing game to test South Dakota Mines, where that's been their defense. I just don't think this is a matchup here. Martinelli and company, I think they've proven they're going to score 3-4 touchdowns, maybe at minimum in a game, and their defense is going to keep them in it. So, yeah, I would like South Dakota Mines comfortably in this one. Fort Lewis is going to have a good chance to get a conference win this year. This isn't going to be it.
I agree. Next, we got Western taking on Highlands, taking the trip out to Las Vegas. What's the special name for Las Vegas, New Mexico?
What's the what name for it?
Don't they have like a special name? It's a special city. It's Silver City. No,
that maybe. I think that's.
It's something. It's something. I remember when we went.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Nonetheless, tough sledding for them. They're 0-3. They're getting Western Colorado, who's looking like a well-oiled machine at this point. I don't see this one really being close. I think this one's going to be very similar to last week for Western. The same way they dispatched Adams, just methodically, just kind of grinding them away. I think it'll be the same way.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, I think this is a team in New Mexico Highlands. In a perfect world, they want to run the football. Western Colorado is not a team that's going to allow you to run the ball. Western Colorado's going to run the ball. New Mexico Highlands can't stop the run. So there's a lot of things. But yeah, we'll take Western big here. Western's just I don't see them losing to the teams. This sounds like an obvious statement, but I don't see them losing to teams that are worse than they are.
No.
Right? I think they're going to take care of business against those type of opponents and probably smother a lot of them. And that could be the case this week.
I would look to see Western. I imagine just because they did play in the rain last week that they're going to try to maybe throw it around a little bit this week. Drew Nash and the offense kind of was damped down by the rain. So I'd look out for, if I was Highlands, I'd be expecting them to come out and try to sling it a little bit. But last but definitely not least, we got CSU Pueblo going on down to Alamosa to take on the Grizzlies. Man, I don't want to sound like I'm just saying the same thing over and over, but this is very similar to
Sure.
that we just talked about. I don't see the Grizzlies really challenging Pueblo. I think Pueblo is rounding into supreme form at the moment, and I think it's gonna be tough for anybody to stop Pueblo. So I think Pueblo wins this one big.
Yeah, I would expect a bounce back performance from Reggie Retzlaff in the passing game of Pueblo. They can pick kind of however they want to. That's probably going to be the case against a lot of opponents, that they can show off their running game, they can show off their passing game, they can show off this weapon or that weapon, win in a couple of different type of ways. And especially after facing a team like Grand Valley State, Adams State is not going to be able to, I would doubt very much, pose much of a threat to the Wolfpack. So we'd see a large victory here for Pueblo.
Awesome. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you have some questions from.
We do have a handful of questions. We're also going to get into a quick debate as well, because I think we're on two different sides of a certain topic that was going on in the college football world today. But let's start with, following the Chadron game, does CSU Pueblo or Western have a solid chance to take the RMAC crown this year? Before even kicking it to you, I'm the Mines homer here on this program. Nobody thinks more highly of Mines football than I do. Does CSU Pueblo and Western have a chance this year? Yeah, okay, they definitely have a chance for sure. Would I be picking Pueblo or Western at this point? No, I'm going to still ride with Colorado School of Mines. The no transfer portal ever thing still is hard to get away from. They have a lot of talent there that's still kind of percolating up. But certainly right now you would have to be more closer to an even betting type of thing than an overwhelming side for Mines. And Pueblo certainly showing that they've got what it takes to be a really, really good football team this year.
I am very close to. I'm not there yet, but I'm right on the verge of. Well, if we did power rankings every week for the conference, I'll say this. If we did power rankings every week, I would have Pueblo ranked above mine.
Power rankings, absolutely, sure.
I would have
played better so far.
Yeah, Pueblo has been the more impressive team to me so far. Obviously, they're going to have to go and play this game on the field, but I think Pueblo and Western both should feel really good about their chances to knock Mines off this year.
I'll say, though, I think that just like it was the case with John Riston there and company at Pueblo, it's going to have to be straight up wrestled away from Colorado School of Mines. I don't think they're going to burp it up here in 2024 and just give it away to one of those teams. It's going to take somebody taking the mantle away from Colorado School of Mines. Yes, they have not been at their best yet, but we haven't seen their best, clearly. So, and hard to say the same thing for Pueblo, or did they have so much room to improve? I think there's a lot of room to improve for the Orediggers. So we'll certainly keep our eyes on that as the year goes along. A big football game coming up there in Pueblo. Lots of football to play going into that. Do you have any thoughts on the Ricky Fremont ejection on the, just kind of a tough spot too? Punter drops the ball. He's rushing the punter. He's trying to get it away. To me, it looked like a relatively clean play. I think what a lot of fans lose is that a lot of those targeting calls are not based on the health of the offensive player. It's based on the health of the defensive player. They don't want guys tackling with their neck down. I don't think that was the case in that situation. And I'd love to see Fremont on the field next week.
He's playing football. Like, Jesus, what's he supposed to do? It's in the heat of a moment. It's a crazy play. It's a special teams play, a possible turnover. Hopefully the RMAC reviews it and lets Ricky play. I don't think Ricky had any, malicious intent. He wasn't trying to hurt anybody. He's just out there playing football.
Right. Okay. Let's get to the Matthew Sluka discussion here from UNLV, and then we'll let everybody move on with their Thursday or whatever you're watching this. But Antonio, I know you had some thoughts here. I'll just set this up from my understanding of the situation. Matthew Sluka is a transfer quarterback to UNLV. He accepts allegedly a bag of $100,000 to go play quarterback for UNLV. His camp, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of these things, his camp alleges that he did not receive said money And so Sluka is going to redshirt after starting and winning, by the way, the first 3 games for UNLV. He's going to redshirt. He's going to shelve himself effectively and then be eligible to play again next year, transfer somewhere else, get a different bag, go play for a different team. So, Antonio, you had some harsh words in our group chat about this situation. So let's get your quick thoughts on it.
Well, there's differing reports. Like the first
a lot of misinformation.
The initial report that came out says that UNLV didn't give him what they agreed to. If UNLV didn't give him what they agreed to, that may maybe somewhat alter my opinion, but honestly not completely entirely. But there's also claims that he was paid whatever he was promised by UNLV. He got an agent since they started 3-0, him and his family, and now him and the agent are coming back like, hey, my market value is way higher than what we agreed to before, so I'm not going to play. I'm going to save and then get more money next year. Either way, regardless, did you not sign up to play football? Have you not been grinding with those 100 this UNLV probably got like 100 kids, probably like 60 travel, and then a bunch of red shirts.
Yeah.
All those kids that you did all those workouts with, that you do all this stuff with, that I'm sure if we go pull one of his interviews after the Kansas win or the Houston win, I'm sure he's talking about how much he loves his linemen and all this. Like, whatever happened to team? Is this not the ultimate example? Is Fluka not saying, hey, guys, me and my my money and my future prospects are more important than this team and what we got going on, even as we're 3-0 doing something never done at UNLV before? What happened to team and sacrifice? I didn't play that long ago, did I?
Did you just turn 30 or 50 last week?
Jesus Christ. I wasn't playing that long ago. Like, dude, you're in college at a D1 getting your education paid for.
Living like a king, probably. Yeah.
Living like a king.
You play your games at the new shiny stadium down there in Vegas, by the way, as well.
I feel like, don't get me wrong, I'm not Dabo saying players shouldn't be compensated, but like within reason, $100,000 on top of everything I just mentioned, your education being paid for. What do you think the tuition at UNLV is for regular kids?
$25,000 a semester, probably.
A semester, so
range,
$50 a year.
A lot of money, sure.
And you're getting that paid for to play a game.
Okay, but here's my thing.
Extra greedy.
Here's my thing, Antonio, and I know you feel like, hey, I played D2 ball and I rode buses, I didn't take flights, and I paid for my own post game, whatever, and I didn't have my Chipotle order waiting for me at the end of every practice and the lives these D1 guys live. And look, and I hear that. And I know that 99% of D1 college athletes, the 4-year college scholarship is a fantastic deal for the student athlete, okay? If college scholarships weren't desirable, why are all these high school juniors and seniors clamoring for one like you and I both know that they are, right? It's because it is a really big deal, okay? It is a great situation. However, I will say that if the report is true that he's promised $100,000 and it's a handshake deal, and then he only gets a drop in the bucket of that, I would ask you, would you go to work if you weren't being compensated the way that you said you would be? And I know that's not, I know you can easily go to team and you can go to all this, but you just never know somebody's individual situation. You never know how much they need the money. And so I am for the college kids that are in the 1%, maybe it's 0.1% of kids that have the opportunity to make more money than what their college scholarship is worth. And once again, that's a very, very small percentage. Okay. But those kids that do have that opportunity, to me, this is a fundamental aspect of what we believe in as Americans, that if you have the right to earn money, you get to go do that. Okay. Anybody saying otherwise to me sounds like that's communist Russia BS. Okay. That we're trying to keep people from earning what they're entitled to. So right now it's a he said, she said type of situation. It's ugly. Okay. There's been actually a handful of other kids, not only at UNLV, but I also saw Barry Alexander, 5-star recruit at USC. He's going to do the same thing. He's going to redshirt and move on. Now he played about 4 different high schools in 4 years in Dallas. So that's a whole other situation. But yeah, right now, a lot of he said, she said. I will say, as much as I can be, I'm pro player. I want these guys to get paid as much money as they possibly can. You and I both know just how violent this game is, especially at that level when you're running around out there. And so I hope he gets his bag, because if he's worth it, then he should be paid that money. But if, Antonio, he got $100K and was promised $100K, and now he's saying he's going to leave, yeah, he's probably a POS. You know what I mean?
Here's what I would compare it to, and here's what's going to be the problem moving forward, like the larger problem with just what this is doing in the long run. I have a job right now. You have a job as well. There's not days and times you feel like I should be compensated I'm really good at my job. I should make more money.
I'm a teacher. I don't get paid much. Yeah.
Okay, you're a teacher. That's a perfect example, actually. Would you walk away from all of your students in the middle of the school year because you're like, hey, I'm not getting paid what I think I'm worth. I think my price just went up. So you know what, guys? Figure it out. Best of luck to you. Best of luck?
Certainly not. Certainly not. I will say, though, if I'm expected to be paid a modest salary and I am paid nothing or little to nothing, yeah, I mean, I'd say they could figure out another way, and I got to go somewhere and get paid. So I'm not doing it for free. That's for sure. I love kids. I love working there. That's why I chose that profession. But do I need to be paid? Yeah, I need to get paid.
But in the context of the middle of the season, like Sluka,
am I going to work for free?
You're not. He's not. Here's a misconception that's really irking my nerves. He's at UNLV. He's not doing it. He's living a very nice life. He's not struggling. He's not doing the ramen that most college kids are doing.
Sure.
And he wasn't the UNLV
he's a T1 football player. He's living a very good life. Yeah.
He's living a very good life. Like, stop talking. People are talking about him like, oh my gosh, what's he gonna do if he doesn't get paid? Like,
but he's
not getting evicted.
But if you have the value in this country of, let's say, $100,000 a year, and you're not making that money, then I do understand, and I'm pro player in that regard. But right now, as he said, she said, we got to get it. We got to get to the bottom of this at some point. We might get a 30 for 30 doc on this guy based on how crazy it went today. But
you litigate this after the season, after you go and win the Mountain West, go to the college football playoff as the 5 seed. Then you go litigate this in court. Like, hey, UNLV played me. There's going to be stuff like that that's going to happen down the line. Players suing schools, vice versa. But in the middle of the season, you're the quarterback. You're not going to convince me.
It's tough. I will say another red flag against UNLV is that another UNLV player, another starter, has said the exact same thing.
No, he didn't say the exact same thing. He made it very clear in his tweet. He said, mine is no NIL related. He said, I was promised opportunities on the field that they're not giving me, so I'm leaving, which that in itself is a whole other problem. Let me not even.
Once again, look, okay, we can go to, is it good for every 17-year-old to get a bag? No, I'm not saying it's good, but is it what we believe in as Americans that they have that right? Yeah, I think that, to me, that's pretty important. So I want them to have that opportunity. Are young people always going to make the right choice? Certainly not. Is it a good thing to hand a young person $100,000? No, but we live in the United States. So
my argument isn't the money or the player's ability to make the money. I wish I could have gotten paid while I was in college. My argument is you just quit on all 100 guys in your locker room and you're the quarterback. You're supposed to be the leader on the team.
This is the new age of college football. Unfortunately, Antonio, it's not the college football we grew up with, and it's certainly not our dads or our grandpas, but it is the new age that we're working with. So this is truly a Gen Z college football generation now that we're working with. So we wouldn't know anything about that as old millennials.
I'm an old man. I need my grades to come in soon.
All right, Antonio. Well, I appreciate it, buddy. Another good week of college football talk, and would invite everybody to check us out on the RMAC network. Myself and my buddy Josh Dover just got back from hanging out with JD this evening. We'll be on the call on Saturday afternoon, Mines and Black Hill State.
Looking forward to some great football. I may see you, I may not. I hope I see you this weekend, Miles.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Bye-bye.